Hello and welcome, my name is Ashura and this is my guide on how to start a new game in Distant Worlds universe. So this is of course the first thing you want to do, start a new game. Now there are a couple of things that are presented to you. This is all the different starts from the expansions in the different games. And if you are a new player, I would recommend that you start either in the standard Empire in the Age of Shadows or in the classic era, just to kind of get to know the game before you go on. Of course you can also, once you get to know the game, you can kind of explore the different stories of the classical games. But you can also get these missions in a custom game, as I will show you later on. What we are going to do in this video is doing a custom game. Of course, all these other possibilities are there for you to use, but we are going to do a custom game. So the first screen we go to is about the galaxy. And there are kind of 4 bits that we need to look at, so let's just get to it. The first bit is this over here. This bit allows you to load up a galaxy from an existing map. This is useful for if you are designing a map to play later, or if you are downloading a map from a forum or some other place. Then you can load it in this game, and you can even regenerate stuff like resources and scenery and ruins and all that good jazz, so you can have a replayable experience. And if you have someone loaded and you want to clear it, you just press this button. If you do want to start a totally random game, you have to check out this bit. This is about how the galaxy will look. And there are 6 different options. You can have this elliptical shape with the spiral and a ring around. You can have the spiral, or you can have the ring. And you can see here on this picture how the stars are going to get aligned. You also have a regular, where it's just a random placement. You have clusters that can either be even in size or varied in size. So this is just different ways of generating the universe, and it will give different kinds of gaming experiences. I can't really say yet I can't say what's best. It's up to you. I tend to like these cluster games, but I also like spiral games, so I haven't really gotten a preference for it. Then you have to set up how many stars you want. So there are 2 things you need to set up about the size. You need to choose how many stars are available and how big the game is actually. So stars determines how many colonies will be built and how many systems there are to exploit and build mining stations in and so forth. And the physical size decides how big the map is. So you could actually have a huge map with only a few stars, or you could have a small map with a lot of stars, so everything would be really close together. I think that it's probably advisable to choose things that are right above each other, at least for the start, until you get to know the game a little better. I think maybe this is the default positions, or maybe it's like this, but you should probably go ahead in your first game and just do like a small or standard amount of stars and medium size, just so you'll get a quick game going. Just remember that while this affects how many stars there are, this only affects the distance between those stars. So that's just the difference between those 2. Then we go down to this part, which is about the other all the randomly generated AI controlled empires in the world. So we can check here how expanded they are. So you can either be in a pre-warp time. That will mean that they don't have warp drives yet. They are only on one system. It's a basic Shadows era start. Then you can have them at starting, which is like the classical era, where they will start with one colony and the maps for a couple of more systems, I guess. And they will also have some of the starting technology, as well as hyperdrives and the colonization. And then you can go into even bigger empires with young, expanding, mature, and old, where they will have more starting colonies, more starting mining bases, more starting technology, and stuff like that. But this is only for the AIs. It doesn't affect your start. So this is a way to make it easier or more difficult for yourself by giving the AIs either some penalties or some bonuses. The next thing is about aggression. This decides how aggressive the AIs will be. If you put it on peaceful, they won't be going into much war. If you put it on chaos, they'll be going crazy. So this is again about the AIs. How aggressive do you want them to be? Of course, it gets more difficult to be you, the more aggressive they are, and the more passive they are, the more you get to decide the pace of the game. So again, it's about difficulty. And again, we have the general difficulty down here, and I think this is decides how easy it is for you to get a heavy population, to grow your population, and stuff like that. And it probably also affects the AIs, but I'm not at 100% sure on how the difficulty works, what it affects. But of course, you can adjust it. So you can get a harder or an easier game. And then there's this last option, which is to scale the difficulty when you're near a victory. I personally don't like this. Usually when I play this kind of game and I come up on the victory, you are usually kind of dominant, and it's just a matter of time before you end the game. So I don't like games just clinging on. So I don't play with this, but you can do that if you want to kind of scale it when you so it's difficult the whole way through. The last bit here is about just general rules for the Galaxy. First off, you can set the research cost. You can both set it to preset values here, or you can set it to a value you choose around here. And this is this price I think is the price of the most basic, so it's the level 1 research topics, and then the level 2 will be 240 and level 2 will be 480 and so forth. But you can just use this slider to decide how expensive research will be, and this is for everyone. So this is just deciding how long do you want the game to keep on going before people start getting more advanced chips. I generally like keeping it a bit on the expensive side, just to kind of not have to refit all the time and have a more spaced out game where I get to actually use the technology that I get, instead of just crashing to the end of the technology trees. Then you can decide how many space creatures you want in the game. My personal preference is none, but you might like those as an extra challenge. Unfortunately, you can't turn them completely off. There still will be, if you have missions on, there will still be mission-generated space creatures. And I think there's also space creatures around all the super luxury planets, so there will also be those space creatures. Won't go away if you choose none. So there might still be some around, but they won't just spawn randomly around the universe. Then these last two are for pirates. You get to choose how many pirates get spawned and how strong they are. For new players, I would suggest just starting with normal and this proximity thing on average, just so you learned about the pirates before you decide. I don't recommend choosing none, because the pirates, even though they can be annoying, they are also quite useful. You can use them to destroy your enemy's bases without them knowing it was you. You can use them to smuggle resources to you, and you can use them as protection. So I don't recommend turning them completely off, but you might want to start up with normal. In my current games, I like playing with many of them actually, but that's just about preference. You can then set the average proximity to you. I just set this to average. You can also set it to distant or nearby, and you can decide whether or not they should spawn a new pirate faction if you destroy one. Then the next screen is about colonization predominantly. You can decide up here how many planets you want to be able to colonize, and how many of those planets you want alien life on. So you can make it so that there are no colonies available, or barely none, and barely any independent alien life, or you can make it plentiful. Again, I like to go with a bit on the plentiful size. It doesn't. It's not only a bonus for you; it's a bonus for everyone. This just means there will be more colonies in the game, and it just means there will be more independent life in the game. I just kind of I like a lot of planets being around. It just makes it less likely that you end up in a situation where you have nowhere to expand. Then we have the colony influence range, and this decides how far out from your systems you can actually claim star systems. So we'll come back to that. If you have watched my Let's Play series, you'll have already seen that when you go and explore star systems that you don't have colonies in, they will still change to your color because you control them. So this just decides how big of an territory you can get based on your colonies. The game will suggest a level based on the size and number of stars in your system, but you can decide yourself. I generally just go with what they suggest, but you can do whatever you want. Then the last thing down here is colonization range limits that you can choose to enforce, and this decides how long away from a current colony that you can colonize other planets. So if you have a colony and within 0.75 sectors of that colony there is another planet that is colonizable, then you can colonize it with these settings. You can go all the way from 0.5 to 5 sectors, so you can use this to decide how close together other empires are. This doesn't affect how far away you can invade planets, so you can still have an empire that spans the entire galaxy just because it invades all over the place. But generally, it seems to make sure that the AIs don't spread too far if you put it down in the low end here. But again, it's something you can play around with. Then you need to select your race. We won't be going through the race in this video. But there are a lot of to choose from, and you can even get mods that add even more races. Then you need to decide where your empire is going to start. Depending on the kind of galaxy map you choose, you can choose different places to start. This is the spiral galaxy, and you can start in the deep core, the outer core, or the far regions, or you can just choose a random start location. You can also pre-decide a name. If you leave this blank, you will just get a randomly generated name based on the system you start in and the kind of government you have. So if I start now, I might be in the Diode Hive Mind Empire or something like that. So you can decide if you want to have a name from the start, or if you just want it to randomly generate it. Then you have to choose some colors, and you need to choose a flag art for your empire. Of course, you can just leave it as it is, but it's nice to make it a bit more personal. Then you can choose your home system. This is something that only affects you, so where the other things we have chosen so far are general for the whole universe, this is just for you. So you can decide how good your home system should be. You can make it harsh, trying, normal, agreeable, or excellent. I generally go with a bit better systems. I think that from what I've seen, agreeable might be the standard for shadow starts. And I recommend that you, at least new players, choose either agreeable or excellent home systems, just because it makes it a bit easier to get the game started. You'll have a bit more resources at home, so you won't have to suffer too much for not having hyperdrives at the start of the game. But it's up to you. Then you can choose the size of your empire. Starting will mean you only start with one planet, and bigger you get, the more colonies and mining bases you'll start with. You can also decide your tech level. So in this instance we set all the other empires to start at pre-warp, so we'll probably do the same. You can start with warp technology or even higher up in technology tree, but I recommend that you start your first game in pre-warp just to get to know the game a little better. It will kind of you'll learn the game step by step instead of just being thrown into the middle of it. But you can also do the normal start, which is like the classical era start, where you'll start with warp technology and you'll start with colonization technology. And of course, as I said, you can start with even more advanced technology if you want to. Then you can decide how much corruption you want, normal, low or high, or very high of course. And then you can decide your governments. These 6 governments are can be used by everyone, and then the hive mind is something that's exclusive to our race, the Boskarans, that we chose for this particular game. I won't go into the details about the governments, we might do it in another video, but this is where you decide. You can also have it on random. Then you need to generate other empires. If you auto-generate them, then they will use the settings from the start of this video, or you can add them individually and decide for yourself how they start with government, size, race, tech level, and so on and so forth. I usually just go with auto-generate. And then finally there's down here there's the ability to allow independent alien colonies to start new empires during the game. So this means that all the independent planets that you find dotted around, if they get a chance to research enough, they will get their own hyperdrives and become an empire. Then finally you have all the victory conditions. Up here you can choose the victory conditions, if you want to use territory, population, economy, and race-specific victory conditions, how much you want the generic victory conditions to be. So this is to win the territory, get 100% of this, you need to control 33% of all colonies in the galaxy, and so on. I'll explain these more in a later video. You can also choose when the victory conditions will apply, and you can put a time limit so the game just finishes after at this point, no matter if anyone won or not, and then you will just go for the highest score, I guess. Then you can enable the different events in the game. So you can play with the original events, you can play with the... If you enable this Return of the Secturi, then the Secturi will come along at some point and replace these victory conditions. So you might... I usually go with either these or this. Then you can enable disasters and other events. You can enable race-specific events, and you can enable shadow story events. Then you can choose whether not to allow text trading, and you can choose whether or not to allow giant kelters at the start of the game, which is another kind of space creature. So that's all the options that are available for the game. This game I kind of went away from the way I'm gonna do these videos in the future, where I will come with my advice in the end, because it's just a bit easier to come with the advice on the screen than later on. But anyway, this is how you set up a game. Then you just have to press start the game, and then the game will generate a new galaxy and you can get going. Hope you have learned something from this video, and hope to see you in the next ones. Bye bye.